We have been loving the BJU Press reading program this year for my second grader. It is such a lovely, sweet, but thorough program. It has pleasantly surprised me, and is even better than I thought. I know sometimes you can see the samples online and you can get an idea, but having it in person, it's been great. So I'm going to share an in-depth look of what the readers are. It comes with 4 different readers, 4 different books to read throughout the school year, along with the activity guide as well. I don't have the teacher guide, but at this level, I'm not sure exactly that you would need it, but I will share all of that, and then hopefully you can make a decision for yourself if you need it or not. It comes with 4 readers, and then it also comes with a work text. You don't necessarily need this, but I definitely recommend it. I'll do an in-depth look at what all this encompasses. It's pretty thorough and comprehensive. But first, let's just take a look at these. Okay, so 2A, all of God's creatures. So you can see in here, there's different stories that they will be reading. Now, if you want to know, well, how much should I read? And you don't need necessarily, there's a teacher guide. You can get that. I don't have that personally, but I'll show you in here in a minute. It will show you exactly what pages to read on the bottom. And that's how I know how much to read. So we're not reading like an entire story every single day. So at the beginning, it's going to have story clues, or it's going to teach about like the plot. It's always going to give kind of some sort of like literature setup, and then think about this question as you're reading. And then it will go through as you read. There's going to be think and discuss, and then just more, maybe sometimes they have an activity, sometimes they don't. I never do these, but you obviously totally can. And then there's vocabulary words. So again, it's going to give like characters, plot line, the title. It's going to introduce a little bit of that with each story. They will have, I love how there's like different pictures and graphics. It's definitely different. So it's not the whole books, all of the books don't look exactly the same. Again, think and discuss some reading comprehension questions, vocabulary, write about it. Now, keep in mind, this says partner work. BJU Press is designed for a Christian school. So, some of the stories are going to be longer. You're going to think, oh, my child has to read, 7 pages. But keep in mind, in a Christian school setting, they're only reading like a paragraph or 2, and then it's the next child's turn. So if you feel like that's a lot of reading in one day for your kid, every kid is different. Obviously, you can probably either break it up or say, I'll read a page, you read a page, I'll read a page, you read a page. Sometimes we do that. So I wanted to share, and they do this a lot of times. So let me show you. So this is Owl Face. So it is a realistic fiction. So she read this story, and it explains what realistic fiction is in one of the previous. And then be wise about owls. So now it's showing real pictures of real owls and different facts. And so I just thought that was really, really cute. Same thing, this Dogs at Work. It's going to show different types of dogs, therapy dogs and rescue dogs and all of that. And then it's going to give, again, a fiction about he's a therapy dog. And then, she made this by herself. She did do this one. She just came up and said, "Here, Mom." I was like, "What did you do?" She goes, it was at the end of my story. I had no idea. She just followed the directions. It was really cute. So I have that one saved. And then here is a play, so they can, a couple times me and her older sisters have done the plays, and it's kind of fun just to change it up a little bit. So as you can see, and then it's going to end with a marsupials. There was a story about kangaroo, and then now it's going to do real life information about marsupials. And then it ends each book, Hope for a Sinful World. It's going to talk about creation and the fall of man. And then book B, we are just finishing up, is about, the last story was about the birth of Jesus. So it talked about, I'm getting ahead, but God keeps his promise. So it does a little timeline there. And then it does it did again, gold, frankincense, and myrrh. It gave like a factual, what is frankincense? What is gold? What is myrrh? What is it used for? So I will flip through here, and it's going to be the same type of layout so that you can get an idea. But these have just, getting ahead of myself. These have been like the cutest, sweetest stories. We really, really like doing this. They even have real books in here. Thank you, Amelia Bedelia. She was very excited because she reads Amelia Bedelia on her own. And so she was excited to read that. Annie Sullivan. And then what else? There was one more. Oh, we had been studying the Pilgrims, so it was fun to do this play. And then this one I remember reading as a kid. Again, they have actual picture books in here. The Puppy Who Wanted a Boy. So this is a real book. The whole thing is it's not abridged. They have this in there too. So they have like Amelia Bedelia, The Puppy Who Wanted a Boy. They add books into there. So I'll just go through. We're about to start these two. We haven't gotten to these, so I'll just kind of peep through and you can see kind of what this is about. Tall Tales. What's this? This looks like one of those, a volcano erupts. So there's probably a story about volcanoes. I would assume, I don't know. Some history in there as well. So they just have so many things that they cover, so many different topics. Okay, and then this biblical story is God's promised son brings hope. And then lastly is reading D, Precious Treasures. So it's going to cover these different, and then the last one is God's promise for the future. Okay, so this one is like Granny Nell's Dulcimer, so it's a realistic fiction. And then this is Dulcimers. This is an article. So they have biographies, fables, poetry, historical fiction, as you can see from the other books, a mystery, poetry, an article, realistic fiction, and it describes all of those. So your child isn't just like, what in the world is, a realistic fiction? It gives all that information in front before the reading in the other books. Okay, so here's a play, there's a cast, and then it is going to end with Dulcimers. It's going to end with God's promise for the future. Jesus is coming back. So I would say most of these are non-religious. So if you are secular, you could obviously skip these. Most of the stories I felt are just neutral. Some of them, I'm trying to think off the top of my head. I don't think most of them are religious. I think it's just the ones at the end. Okay, so then after you have that, then you have the reading work text. And this is going to contain, so see how these are different colors? 2A is blue, and then this is like a purplish, green, red. So these correspond with what book you're on. So you could take these out and have your kid just do one page, front and back. We just keep the book like this. So it really just depends on how you want to do it. But they're already hole punched, they're perforated, so you could keep it in a binder. So what I really, really like, okay, so of course I love the readers. I think those are really great. But I like this as well because it's all encompassing. Like I hesitate to say it, but I almost want to say that you could probably use this as a whole curriculum. Some people will say, no, it's not enough, which I get. It's probably not enough for a lot of people, but I think depending on your child, you really could. But you would just have to kind of gauge where you're at and what you think. You might have to supplement a little bit, but it almost could be a full curriculum. So I'll take a peek through and you kind of determine, you tell me what you think, if you think the same. Okay, so it's always going to start on the bottom. Lesson 1, there are, I think, 150 lessons in here. 153 lessons. Okay, we do this 4 days a week. And then it says reading 2A, so you know what book you're in. And it says, okay, so this doesn't tell you the pages, but normally it does. Pages 2 to 10. This is lesson 2. Then at the bottom, it also says what this page is about. So most of them are very obvious, but just in case you're wondering, phonemic awareness. This one is about communication and composition. So she had to write. This one is about comprehension and predicting. Phonics, so they encompass phonics, reading comprehension. So it's more than just circling answers and the reading comprehension back here, which they definitely have at the end of every story. So you totally could just get this if you're not interested in this, but I think this is just great for extra practice. It just dives deeper. I think it's really, really good to have this one as well. Circling the words to match the picture. And then obviously, it's just starting off, so it's going to progress more and more. This is what order did the story happen in? More phonics. This is Little Bug's Trip, and it starts with page 12 to 18. So you could read this where you would do the front and the back, and then the next day read page 19 to 24, front and back. And then they do an assessment, and then it's still the same lesson though, so it would make a longer lesson. So even though there's only 150 lessons, sometimes if you just want to do the front and the back, this one is still considered lesson 5. So sometimes I just lump those together and pick and choose. And then this one is lesson 6. You would just read page 25 of Little Bug's Trip. Let me show you here what that's gonna look like. And so I just skipped this. I skipped this whole lesson. I'm not, if there's a lot of pages. This is a 300-page book. If I don't do every single thing, I'm not worried about it. But this is just for writing practice as well. So it really will. It's not going to have grammar so much, like a noun and a verb and things like that, but it's going to have writing practice, filling in the blank, phonics, comprehension, parts of a story. So we'll kind of go through and see, but that's just to show you, because sometimes the lessons are a little bit longer. So a lot of times I would just do this orally. Like I know that I just went through and I said, Little Bug, what? His shoes, tied, braids are underneath. And a lot of this is very simple, and maybe, not necessary. It might be a little bit redundant, but overall, I think that I try to do as much of the exercises as possible. All right, so we have comprehension, facts and details. There was what was it called? A word web. Again, we did not do this. I pick and choose what I want to do, and I do most of it, but not all of the time. Here she made her own word web. This is about polar bears, the main idea about polar bears, more phonics. There's a lot of phonics in here, which I like, because I think second grade, they're still working on those phonics skills. Again, pretty much all of the writing I just don't do. I'm not worried about that in second grade. I know, everybody's different. Everybody has what they want to focus on and, what they want their children to work on. For me personally, I just don't really, if she can write a sentence or two, that's fine. I'm not worried if she can write a whole paragraph at this point. Okay, and then compound words. So that's another thing that they do, dividing between two consonants, you know, it's a short vowel. So there's all these different phonics rules that they're still having in place. So hopefully you can get a good idea. At this point, I know when I am looking for curriculum and considering it, I like to see as much as I can, get as much information, as much detail as I can, and hopefully this provided that for you. So again, I like this. It's different. It's not all the same. It's not like a black and white, you know, fill in the bubble. You just have to do the same thing over and over again. It's colorful. It has different activities and exercises, so it's not like the same all the time. There's a lot in here, so you don't feel the pressure to do every single problem. It's okay, but again, there's enough, I think, that would be pretty comprehensive. So that is the work text. Those are the readers, and we really are enjoying this program. So we're about halfway through the year at this point, and so I do have a really good understanding of how I like to use it for my daughter and how we use it, and how it works for us. And I just really love it. Highly recommend it. It is so comprehensive and covers such an array of topics, and it's done beautifully. The books are beautiful. The assessment, it's so, again, covering so many different aspects of reading comprehension, grammar, phonics, writing, all of that within the reading program. It's really great. I really am very impressed with how they have done it. So if you have any questions, please feel free to leave them down below. I hope you enjoyed this flip through and in-depth look at what the BJU Press second grade reading program looks like. If you did find it helpful and you want to give this video a like, I would truly appreciate it. Not necessary though, but appreciated. And I will talk to you soon. Bye guys.